Hi, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to my guest, Janelle Gorman. And I am delighted to have you as an old New Hampshireite living
I'm
up there
delighted to be here.
in the live free or die state. Yes.
It's it's a great motto for the state. Very proud of it. I have a few T-shirts with that on it.
So let me tell you a little bit about Janelle, and welcome to Under the Hood, Janelle. It's Janelle is a seasoned finance leader and a strategic advisor with deep experience in helping startups, God bless, scale. Yes. As the chief
Not for
financial
the faint
officer,
of heart.
as the chief financial officer at York IE, she partners with high growth companies to set impactful financial strategies, build strong financial operations, and drive long term value. Janelle's career spans corporate finance, venture capital, M&A, and operational strategy, and she's passionate about helping businesses grow with intention. We'll talk about that. Outside of work, she's an advocate for women in leadership and a proud mom of two. So, welcome. That's a mouthful for somebody that looks
Thanks.
as young as you are.
It's tricky. I'm told I have a young face, so I guess that's a good thing.
Me too. And I'm just turning 78 today. So,
Oh, today's your
today's
birthday.
my birthday. So,
Happy
thank
birthday.
you.
Wow, what luck. I scheduled this to be a part of your big
Yes,
day.
indeed. I love doing this. So,
Amazing.
especially with women with purpose. We all have a lot of work to do in this world, and every group and every community has its own issues and things to work towards, and we need a lot of help. So, I'm glad to have
Yeah,
you.
it's a group project for sure. The greatest group project of all time is, as a society.
Yes, 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 yes. So, part of my work, Janelle, is I work with all kinds of things, peak performance and conflict, and all kinds of the human side. And Under the Hood got started. I did it a TEDx talk. It's now 3 years ago, and I had a comment in there that uh, patterns that are created in childhood impact us as grown-ups. And so I've been looking at leaders and looking at some of the patterns and goals and values and core values and things that have been established in early ages that have kind of brought you to where you are today. So tell us a little bit about your family of origin, your background, and just some of those patterns that were instilled in you somehow or other.
Yeah, happy to. I say probably too often I have middle child syndrome. So, it can go all the way back there. So, I am from a family of five. So I have two
Mm,
sisters, three children in the family, three girls. I'm right in the middle. My parents are still married. So we
yes.
have that like wholesome family of five, nuclear family that I grew up, with. My background is interesting though, in like terms of how I was raised, because my father went to Bible school when I
Mm,
was a toddler. And before that, he was living certainly not anywhere near a Christian life. So that was a big turn for my family early on.
mm-hmm.
And because they made that turn, to go back to college and get a degree in the Bible there were two kids at that point. They had their third. Money was hard to come by growing up. My mom worked part time. My dad actually worked part time too. I think
Mm.
my mom went back to college to get a degree in accounting. So I'm kind of following her footsteps, but not until I was about 12 years old. So growing up, we were definitely struggling to make ends meet. And I think I almost learned like financial responsibility way back then, and if you wanted something, you had to save up for it. And, the family vacation was camping, no
Mm.
running water. We were in tents, we kind of made do with what we had. But certainly like a loving household, middle child, I had to fight for my attention. So many
Yes.
middle children say that we do, especially as three girls. I could go on all day, but that's kind
I
of
have a
what it
middle
is.
child, and I say that he raised himself.
Yeah, I feel that.
Right?
Yeah, my sister was busy out of the house with friends. My younger sister had a babysitter, and I was just home alone,
Hmm.
to kind of like fend for myself. And so I have. I think for sure that's become a part of who I am because for better or for worse, I have a hard time asking for help. I don't expect that I'll ever get it. So I'm very independent, self-motivated, a bit stubborn. If I work hard enough, I can get what I want. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the other values or patterns that I see a lot is when you say stubborn, I wonder if there's a bit of perfectionism in there.
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, which can be problematic. And I reframe it even in my own head where I say I have high expectations of myself. I know what I'm capable of, and I like to meet or exceed expectations at all times.
Hmm.
An easier way to say that is perfectionism. So I'm perfectionism my own the trait itself.
Well, one of the best statements that I learned in yoga was that uh, practice makes progress.
Yes.
Right?
I like that. I should recite that to myself. It's when so you mentioned I have two daughters now, or I have two kids now. They're both girls.
Uh-huh.
They are 8 and 10 years old, and I'm trying to, we all try to make our kids a little bit better than we are.
Hmm.
So, I tell them all the time, "Po buddy's nerfect." They really like that one. So,
Very, very, very. So with this perfectionism, I'm actually, I'm going to take, we're going to use that word, but it's also that a high expectation because we do know that if we don't expect very much of ourselves, we don't grow. And if we do
yeah.
expect too much of ourselves, what do you think happens?
Oh, you just flail.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, you
Right?
can. You try as hard as you can, and it's burnout. This is what we see so much in my work with startups. Is the expectations on startups is so high, and we'll get into the business side of things, but startups are largely founders. A lot of
Yes.
times, startups are a person,
Right.
and so. That need to achieve and have really high expectations is important, but it has to be balanced with realistic expectations. Otherwise, you just get burnout and failure.
Yes. So in your role in working with startups, how do you help them with that? I mean, what is your way of assisting
Yeah.
them?
Uh, so I take all of this kind of like strategic um, thinking and kind of goal building and framework, and I like accounting and finance and numbers because there's a right and a wrong.
Hmm.
And so I like to take this whole thing to say, tell me what your strategy is, tell me what your goals are, tell me, where you want to be. And then my passion really is to say, can we create a financial forecast and a financial operations plan and a way to actually go about this that gives you a plan to actually achieve those goals?
Yes.
Because a lot of times we'll say, that's really nice that you want to do those things, but here's where your fundraising is at, and I can't make that bridge meet from
Hmm.
expectation to reality. Or I might say, yeah, you can do that, but you need to raise, a lot more money or X dollars, or yeah, you can do that, but unless you hire more staff, it's going to take you maybe 5 years to do it.
Hmm.
And so it's a little bit of that, the puzzle making of
Hmm.
where do you want to be and where are you? And can we create a puzzle, a financial puzzle and an operational puzzle that actually gets you there? Um, that's fun.
Yeah, I bet. And how do they respond in general?
Well, I don't know if there is any in general when we're talking about people. They're all different, and some of them are extremely confident and bullheaded, and they're like, yep, let's do it. Double the revenue next year. And we'll kind of challenge, say, okay, well, how are you going to meet that expectation? What's the reality? And their goals are pretty lofty. And so I kind of do my work, kind of getting their feet to meet the ground as a combination of both bringing them down to reality, but also saying how much can we really challenge reality to meet
Yes.
them in the middle. And then I have some founders that are like, I got to keep some money in the bank just in case. They're nervous
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of what you initially raise is from friends and family, and that maybe is the worst group of people to let down sometimes for founders. And so we kind of have to nudge them along and say, if you really want to grow this thing, we got to take some risks here. So it's really about evaluating where they are and then nudging them,
Right.
in the direction
So,
they may need to
so I'm
go.
wondering also, Janelle, in terms of being a woman, how do you think your perspective versus if they were working with a guy doing the same thing? What do you think is the difference?
That's an interesting question. In my experience with founders, women tend to be maybe a little bit more risk averse.
Mm-hmm.
They maybe want to have the plan in place before they go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and men often in the similar seat can be a little bit more like go before just before the horn sounds because it's going to sound
Right.
like a little bit of a jump start, a little bit
Right.
more like we'll figure it out, a little bit more maybe less risk averse, maybe a little bit more aggressive. Of course that's a super broadening term. You're going to find a masculine energy in women or a feminine energy in men,
Exactly.
and that
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. So, but yeah, risk, acceleration, and confidence can really vary between folks. And so, someone in my seat, um, sometimes I'll work with the finance needs at companies, and some of the men I'm like, you let them take what risk? Like you raised at what terms, or your run is what? Um, and maybe that tends to be more of that like masculine like energy,
Yes.
where women be a little bit more careful. On a personal level too, it's just all about personality and men, women, or otherwise. Gosh, there's a lot of interesting
Yes.
personalities out there.
Yeah. And again, I like the way you put it because it really is about masculine and feminine energy. It really is not whether you're a woman or a man. Um,
Yeah.
in my generation, I was the first generation of women's lib, and the women would wear ties, you know, and, and I think they went a little bit to the extreme,
Yeah.
of taking on this masculine energy. So that in and of itself is a great conversation. And
Well, sometimes you got to overshoot to meet in the middle,
right. So
So maybe
again,
that's
I'm
the
going to go
measure.
back to yoga because it was such a great teacher for me for so many years. Um, we grow when we're on the edge of our comfort zone. So just at the edge of discomfort, because again, if we ask too much, then we hurt ourselves, burnout or whatever, or physically hurt ourselves. And if we don't ask anything, we don't grow. So that little space in between. And there's a wonderful law.
Yeah.
It's called the law of accommodation. If we ask of ourselves a little bit more than we're comfortable with every day, every day, every day, the body mind accommodates to the new level. So just
There, that can be addicting though, can it? And that's what I find, and maybe it's my overachiever mentality. Maybe it's as that middle child trying to get the attention or their perfectionism, whatever that may be. But that like, can I do more? Can I do more? Can I do more? Um, there can be a loop to that where eventually it's like, whoa, how did I get here to be doing so much?
so this is a great conversation. This is where I live. What we're talking about. Yes, it can be if you are single focused, right? So I always talk about the mind and the body. When I first started working, the I would work with a bunch of women, and they would talk, but I said, but you're not changing. So they were like talking heads, right? So I knew I needed to get into the body in some way, right? So when the mind and the body are working together, and we're starting to feel that push, this is too much. This is too much. So you have to stay very closely connected to yourself and be able to manage both sides of that. Does that make sense?
That's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of that feedback loop. You have to
Exactly.
stop and hear the feedback and then adjust to that.
Exactly. So given the work that you've done and the personal growth work that it takes to be as conscious as we need to be, because I can hear, what have you done in that vein, what are the things that have really helped you kind of grow as a leader and grow for your as a mom, as a leader, as helping other women? What are the things that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do more. I think I don't necessarily have it right now. If I'm being honest, a lot of it is just kind of like getting through it. This is,
Hmm.
being at this level and having two kids, a husband, a home. I just got a cat.
Hmm.
So a
Yeah,
lot of days are just keeping up with it.
yeah.
And what's the next right thing? What do I need to focus on next in order to keep everything in my life moving forward? Um, so I can do better. But that being said, what has worked for me really is just connection with other people.
Hmm.
And so we have a group of women investors as a group that we started called Tech Women Invest.
Hmm.
We found that our investors were very heavily skewed male.
Hmm.
And so we sought out to get more female investors. And what we found, maybe this plays into my comment of like the risk aversion and
Hmm.
thoughtfulness that
Hmm.
we find that I see with more women. Our minimums were too high and our portfolio and asset class is a bit too risky. And so women were just saying, I gotta wait and see, or
Hmm.
I can't, I'd love to do some, but I can't commit that much. And so we created a group of women. We created an LLC to meet the investment minimums as a group,
Hmm.
so they could each contribute at a significantly lesser value. That's been great to get more women at the
Yes,
table
yes.
and in our investor group. But it's also like such a great group of women that I now have this beautiful network with. Um, and just surrounding myself by strong professional women,
Hmm.
mothers, friends,
Yes.
whoever they may be, they have strengths, and I can learn something from each of them. So, drawing on that group, drawing on, of course, my friends, my family, listening to podcasts like yours, Tina, reading books. Where can I find smart, wise women that are doing this alongside me or have done this out ahead of me? And just kind of know I'm not alone in
Yes.
it and learn from others' experiences.
Yes. And again, different personalities, different times of your life. You've got young kids, and
Yeah.
we cannot do it all. My mother used to say to me, she was very wise, and she used to say, you have to let time kind of do its thing. Like you're in a certain place in your life, and you know, you can get there, but it may
Yeah.
not be today.
Yeah. What is the saying? They say, you can have it all, but not all at
Yes,
once.
exactly.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Yeah.
And making choices every day, every day, every day. Where do I put my attention? Because
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of women over the years, and when I first started, I was working with a lot of women attorneys, and they would have this idea of this expectation of what they were supposed to do. I remember one woman; she was pregnant, and she wanted to be a partner, and she was just like she was falling apart. She was absolutely falling apart. Have your baby.
But yeah. Yeah. Well, that's to your earlier point, where, like satisfaction or whatever is really about meeting expectations. So my own maybe perfectionism is about my high expectations for
Hmm.
myself. But what I find when unchecked, and I actually just got a pretty good check on this last night, um, when unchecked, I can develop people's assumed expectations that I think others have of me that aren't actually even real, because
Yes,
I can, as you said, mind body, I can be up here so much that I'm
yes,
like, well, in order to be a good mom, that looks like this is must be what my kids expect. In order to
hmm,
be a good CFO, it must be this must be
yes,
what the CEO expects. In order to for client satisfaction, it must be this deliverable, this must be what the client expects. And those can all stack in a way that actually might not even be true.
may not be true. And I guess you're you're bringing up so many wonderful things that I hope people, excuse me, can use our conversation to kind of take some of the things that may be going on for them. But the truth is, what I'm hearing you say is it's all external. It's coming from what they want. Okay, so I remember being in your position, having three kids, having a profession, having parents that lived out of town, having a husband, having and if I did what they wanted, then I'd be over here. And if I did what they wanted, I'd be over here. It's sort of like, what your dad studied in Bible school. And so I had a wonderful one, excuse me, a wonderful spiritual teacher. He said, put everybody down on a piece of paper, all these people. And then where's Tina? Where's Janelle? Right. And so if Janelle is the mom that, and this one and this one and this one, where's the anchor? Right.
Interesting.
Right. So I had to learn what it looks like, what Tina thinks is a good mom. What I think is a good daughter, and what I think is a good wife, and so on. Because if I left it to honestly to everybody else, Janelle,
Can't do it.
I'd be exactly as what you described last night. Yes.
Yeah. Can't be that.
Right. So all these lessons, they come every day, and as we pay attention, which is what you just did, which was so beautiful. Really, let me reflect on that. Look at what I noticed. This is kind of what was going on for me. And is this true? Is it really? So many different ways that you can work with it. But if we're so busy, we don't get to take the time to actually do the reflection.
Yeah, and it's critical,
right?
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is just a great conversation. I hope you're enjoying it.
I'm loving it. Yeah, I really am. I feel like I'm not at work anymore, at the moment. I'm like, oh, this is I've taken moments like this to think through these things. Not regularly anyway.
Yeah, no. So again, you're perfect the way that you are. I mean, what you're doing is perfect and beautiful and aspiring and helping and coming from a place of such goodness. Okay? And at the same time, we have to be so careful of where our energy goes. Right?
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've already done it, but in some way, how do you deal with conflict? Sometimes within yourself, and then conflict within your company. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, conflict is a tough one for me. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I think I can tell you I can answer what I think I should do, and what I actually do. It can be different.
Uh-huh.
Conflict is managed best head on and early and often, as they say. That would be ideal, right? As soon as there is a potential conflict or a feeling, that kind of like feeling in the air where you're like, uh-oh, there's something going on here. Digging into it then, of course, is the best thing. That doesn't always happen. And sometimes it's hard to see that it is a conflict until it gets bigger than that. And then it's kind of clear, okay, we've got something here. That's part of why I love numbers, is because I dislike conflict. Because then it's not my opinion. I don't think sales did a bad job this quarter. However, the goal was, 300,000 in bookings, and the result was 180,000 in bookings. So we're 120,000 short. And that's what it is. And I can kind of put that in a deck and then put it up, and there's the information. And, it doesn't have to be my conflict. It just is what it is. That can be a cop out sometimes, an avoidance tool of like, I'll just, we'll get it to the numbers. Action, I think, is really my response most often to conflict. And sometimes, then my natural instinct to it sometimes is either get ahead of it so it doesn't exist, or if it's there, I really want to avoid it. I can almost feel myself like holding away from it and hoping it goes away. And I learned the hard way over the years that that's not going to happen. And the more you pull away from it and hope for the best, the worse it's going to be. So action is really action and data are my two biggest tools against conflict. CFO role now is larger than ever. I think it involves business operations and legal and compliance and HR, in many organizations, including my own. And that's a whole new level potentially of conflict because that's humans,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so in that regard, early, often, and with clarity is the only way I can go because there's not so many numbers in really I love the soft skills and feelings. So Brene Brown, I don't know if she it came up with this or if I just heard it from her, but she says clarity is kind, and I love that, and I think that that's really helpful in conflict. To leave it up to just put everything out there, not assume how someone's going to respond. So I don't want to say it or whatever, not make assumptions, but like, here's clarity. Here's what we've got. Here are the numbers. Here are the facts of the situation. Here's what action needs to happen. It is what it is. And I'm very lucky at work to have wonderful people at this company. We are over 200 globally, but in the US, we're only about 25 people. And I have a great HR team and operations team in India. So we have a lot of resources to help out with conflict there, a lot of like more formalized practice. In the US, it's a little bit less formal just because of the size of team that we have, but it's a wonderful group of people. And so they make that part of my job pretty easy.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it's, as you said, I have a very, very close friend who loves numbers, and she says, do the numbers and the numbers will tell you what to do. But when it comes to emotion, Tina, so we're a great combo.
I do the same too. We're a small company in the US, and so I lean on my HR professionals out in India, even though it's culturally a bit different. They are good at this stuff, and they can help. And then of course I have my network of people here that I can say, hey, if I buy you lunch, will you give me some advice? And so we can kind of outsource in that way. So asking for help has been really important for me in developing my skill set outside of numbers.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. So on our closing notes, what are some of your biggest challenges? Your personal, whether it's work, home, anything. I mean, we've talked about a bunch of stuff, but
right. Right now, top of mind is overdoing it. Knowing where the expectations should be set on all aspects of my life, like we were just saying. And I need to reflect more often because I get taught this lesson in a pretty tough way where sometimes I try to keep up with these expectations at such a level, and then the expectations take on a life of their own in my mind, and then it gets overwhelming, and then it breaks, and then I'm like, whew, you kind of have that breaking point. You finally admit defeat, you need to reset, you need to redo, and then start building again. If I could do that more often, similar to the conflict, external conflict, my own internal conflict needs to be hard truths to myself earlier, sooner, often, being honest with myself. If I have 30 minutes until I need to leave, I think that I can get done A, B, C, D, E. And if I'm actually honest with myself rather than what I want to be true and face what is true, I would know I can only get A, B, C done. And then I won't run 10 minutes late, screaming, running around out of the house. So that's what I do struggle with, is I want to do it all. I know I'm capable of
many things,
all these things, personally and professionally, and I want to do them. I want to do them all. I don't want to compromise. I want my professional life. I want my clients to soar. I want the portfolio to do well. I want to learn more. I want to spend time with my friends. I want to go to the kids' softball games. I want to travel. Like, I want all of it.
Yes.
And sometimes I can work myself in the ground trying to get it all at the same time. Yes. So balancing and holding boundaries with myself is something.
So again, thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty, because you have actually put it out there, Janelle.
Here it is. I guess that's the first step, right?
For the very, very contemporary woman who is smart, capable, and doing all the things that women do. And we do a lot. We hold a lot.
And it's fun. It's fun to do it all, but it can't always be at that level. It has to ebb and flow.
Yeah. Yes. So, how can people get in touch with you? I live out in California, and there's lots of startups and people needing your assistance. So, tell us.
So, I mean, the easiest way, well, my email is janelle@york.ie. I'm not sure there's a simpler email in the whole wide world. So that's pretty easy to remember. LinkedIn is a great way to get in touch with me. I connect with a lot of people through LinkedIn messages there, and I share some of my thoughts and things I'm struggling internally or with my clients, or I just made a post about the new tax legislation of like, hey, startups, think about this. So it's a great way for me to be learning about the startups around me, be sharing what I know of the startups around me. And then, of course, personal messages. If people want to get connected one on one, our company is an investment and advisor vehicle. So we deploy capital to early stage startups, and then we also help them out with um, engineering and product development, go to market, and finance. So we are a great partner for early stage startups, and we love to meet more. So I'd love to hear from
All
folks.
right. Well, I can't wait to have you have our podcast kind of broadcasted, and we'll get the word out. So,
Beautiful.
thank you for your
Thank you.
honesty and being there and your authenticity, and you're a great role model. So,
Ah, amazing. Thank you so much. This is an awesome conversation. And even your feedback just in this short session, I think has been tremendously helpful, and your validation that the things I'm struggling with are okay and normal and we can get through this, I think is really helpful. So thank you for
absolutely,
that.
my pleasure. All right, you take care. Bye now.
Take
Bye.
care. Thank you, Tina.